all cops, just like all women, are taught what lies to tell to get away with their crimes. Let's say you move in with a man, right? You think, hell, I don't have to work for this. I don't have to pay a $30,000 or $3,000 deposit, whatever. Didn't mean to say 30,000. If I move in with this guy, well, hell, all I got to do is put out twice a week and I got a place to stay. Meanwhile, there's a lot of women that I know who are in shitty situations where men are demanding sex for them to stay there. I get treated like shit by women who want to pretend that all men objectionalize women. Now, meanwhile, most of these women who are doing this are lesbians who objectionalize women. Lesbians are more vulgar than straight dudes, straight up. Why is that? Well, it's because they're hypocritical. It's not all right for a man to find a woman attractive, but it's all right for you to objectionalize a woman. Oh, you're a woman, so that makes it okay? That's like saying, oh, well, it's wrong for a black man to commit a crime against me, but you're white, so it's fine. You're out of your fucking mind. So I take a look at my situation and what I'm living in. I see all these folks who did all this horrible fucking shit. What do they get out of it? What did they get for committing crimes? What did they get for doing stupid shit? They got rewarded. Rewarded. What did I get for being the good guy? I got treated like a goddamn predator. People wanted to be friends with my predators, and that was more important than telling the truth. Between Chelsea Worson telling the truth or getting angry at me for telling the truth because she didn't, well, it's easier for her to be angry at me as if I'm the bad guy for telling the truth. You know what she told me? Exactly what I told you. I told you guys that she probably wasn't going to come forward because she wants to stay friends with Katie Whiteman, who is one of my predators. She's a lot like Ashley Bowman. Why don't people like Ashley Bowman in Chapel, Nebraska? Nobody in Chapel, Nebraska likes Ashley Bowman. Nobody. She's not a child molester. She's not a rapist. Ken Zarecki is. But see, Ken Zarecki, who is a child molester and a rapist, is also popular. He's a bullshitter like Doug Cowden was. But then again, so is Ashley Bowman. But what's the difference between Ashley Bowman and Ken Zarecki? Well, for starters, Ashley Bowman's not good looking. Ken Zarecki, for a dude, yeah, he's pretty good looking. And I know some of you are going to go, oh, you're fucking gay. I knew you were gay. I knew you were gay. You're just pissed off because he won't suck your dick. You're just pissed off because he was able to get a 16-year-old to go out with him and you didn't get Natalie. You guys are fucking stupid. The fact is, Ken Zarecki has been fucking that 16-year-old since she was 14. She is 16 and he's 32. Meanwhile, you guys want to pretend like I'm a bad person for being friends with an 18-year-old named Natalie Bollinger. No matter what, my public pretenders were not going to do their jobs. No matter what, the judges were not going to do their jobs. No matter what, none of these people are going to do their jobs because there is no punishment for them not doing their jobs. There is no punishment for these police officers going vigilante. There is no punishment for these officers repeatedly abusing their power and their position to have an innocent man harmed. And why did they do this? Because they didn't want to get in trouble. They didn't want to get in trouble. Ah, poor fucking you. Poor Deputy fucking Hahn. Poor Scott decoste. I'm willing to spend the rest of my life in prison to put you son of a bitches away. Because I, unlike you, am not a coward. Also, unlike you, I don't get paid to victimize people. Now, these ignorant fucks in Chapel, Nebraska is how did they say it yesterday? A red state. That's why they blame everything on blacks and Mexicans. That's why we got so many people in the area that fuck their kids and beat their wives. That's why we got so many twisted bitches in the area strung out on meth, trying to destroy people's lives and then playing victim. There are people in this town who I have heard play victim so many times, it's not even fucking funny. Like Susan Riley. Holy hell. Is there any time in the last, well, any time since I met her that she hasn't been drunk? Not in my presence. And I'm pretty sure that most of the time that she's been in my presence, she's been under the influence of methamphetamines. Y'all know what those are, right? Now, Susan Riley, she's bisexual, which means she's into men and women. She really reminds me a lot of Maddie Boa. When I hurt my back, there were a grand total of 2 people who showed me that they were my friends, while everybody else was fucking lip service. You know who those people were? Maddie Boa and Natalie Bollinger. That was it. Miss Peaches was just lip service. Joshua Hebert was just lip service. Mobley was just lip service. Christine was just lip service. Alex was just lip service. All of these people were just fucking lip service. That's what it's like when you're not a pretty girl. God, my back fucking itches. I have panic attacks every fucking night. I have problems sleeping. You know why that is? Because I need fucking help and nobody is helping me. Nobody is fucking helping me. Without a fucking voice, nothing is help. Without someone speaking up for me and giving a shit about me as a human being, I just got to take the fucking abuse. And the more abuse I got to go through, the more I'm shut down. By the time Natalie died, I should have had 20 fucking police reports in, if not more. But the cops won't do shit. When you are disabled, you need someone who cares. I jumped through all of those goddamn hoops for an entire year before Natalie died. I did everything those people told me that I needed to do in order to get their help. I talked to the police. It didn't do any good, and it didn't get me that help. I went to their fucking meetings. All of them. And it didn't get me that fucking help. I filled out their paperwork for the sliding fee scale, and I still didn't get their help. And then Tamara showed up, and I had help, finally. And then Tamara quit her job. And since then, the closest that I have had to actual help, the way that I need it, is an autism advocate in North Platte who can't do anything. She has done a lot to try to help, but at the same time, if I can't see my loved ones, then what you're doing is not helping. If your advice to me is to just take the abuse, which is literally what you are telling me when you tell me to move on, just take the abuse. Just take it. Sean, between you living miserable under a bush while your predators get to live in the lap of luxury by fucking comparison, you want me to live under that fucking bush. You would rather see me freeze to death under that bush than do a goddamn thing about the predators. Time to make some goddamn phone calls since people have not been calling me back. Now let's see who we can call first. Oh, look. Lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots. The same goddamn restricted number. Holy hell. Restricted, 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 restricted. Yay! Motherfuckers. So they told me I gotta call the state attorney general's office. I called them. They sent me to the FBI. I called the FBI. The FBI told me to call somebody else. That somebody else told me to call somebody else. That somebody else told me I need to call the Nebraska Attorney General's office. All I do is go around in circles making phone calls to places that are paid taxpayer dollars to do jobs that they're not fucking doing. And that is reflected highly in the fact that they advertise that this is what they do. Adult Protective Services is supposed to protect people like me from being victimized. When they spend as much time as they do trying to convince the American public that they're doing a good thing, we protect disabled adults. So you're doing a good thing by paying your taxes. But then you go through the conversations that I've had with these son of a bitches, and all of these things that you think you're paying taxes to them to do, they tell me they can't. It's not their job, and they don't know whose job it is. Or they send me to a number of someone who is supposed to be their job to do it. And those people tell me, well, it's not our job. Why are we paying 30,000 different fucking groups? Because a lot of these places, they're not government agencies. They're private groups or private organizations like Corona Counseling. They still get that money. They still get that sliding fee scale money. They didn't do anything useful for me. They didn't do anything helpful for me. So why do they deserve that sliding fee scale? Because they show up? I didn't go to see Nicole Peralta because I wanted to whine to somebody about my goddamn problems. I went to Nicole Peralta because I needed help stopping the abuse that I had to go through, because anybody can harm me and call me mentally ill and get away with it. Scott DeCosta thinks that he's slick by saying, oh, well, I never said mentally ill. Bitch, it don't matter that you didn't use the words when you committed the acts. If you go beat somebody to death with a fucking swastika or choke them to death with the goddamn Nazi flag, it doesn't fucking matter that you didn't call that person the N-word before you fucking killed them. It's still a fucking race crime. Meanwhile, that slanderous bullshit that you're not allowed to say, if they wrote that down on your police report, that it was the N-word, yeah, that's not going to fucking fly in court. That's probably going to get that officer in a lot of fucking trouble. But there's words that are even dirtier than that. Words like homeless and disabled and mentally ill. Because then anybody can do anything they want to you at any time, and there ain't a goddamn thing you can do about it. Most of the black people who were killed by police last year were either homeless, considered mentally ill, or both. I'm tired of being thrown around like I'm fucking ragdoll. I'm trying real hard. But really, all I want on any fucking day is a fucking bullet to my goddamn head. Why don't I actively pursue a bullet to my goddamn head? Sometimes I do. Sometimes I get so fucked up at night, and I'm not talking on drugs. I'm talking about missing my loved ones. That I'll look around for something that I can possibly drink that might be poisonous and kill me. You know what usually makes me chicken out? What if it doesn't kill me? My little brother, his dad tried to kill himself by drinking liquid Drano. Unfortunately, the son of a bitch survived. He serves as a great example of what happens if you botch a fucking suicide. He had to have portions of his intestines taken out of his body to replace his esophagus. Yeah, that's right. They took the part that carries the shit through your body and put it right here on him. Why did Larry try to kill himself? It's because the girl that he wanted was leaving him. Well, Larry, that kind of tends to happen when you beat on them. It's odd. It says it's restricted, but it's not giving me most of the options here. Hello? I don't know. It's not giving me the option of hanging it up either. You notice 3 of those are illuminated and 3 of them are not. And that little phone thing at the bottom is faded. Now I'm pressing the little white button in the center. It's not doing any good. I'm pressing the back button. It's not doing any good. I'm pressing the hang up button. It's not doing any good. We'll take a screenshot of that shit. And then, of course, we're going to have to power off the phone. Restart it. I get exhausted, but I can't sleep because I need help. I need to know that someone gives a shit enough to actually help. They're not going to help, though, if they're constantly telling me about the things that they want me to do for them. And then they prevent me from being able to do those things for them by constantly needing help with other things. So I'm jumping through all the hoops to help them the way that they're asking, but they're just not understanding. Like this place right here, this is a good place. You know, it's a little 5 foot by 5 foot fucking shack, so it ain't jack shit. But the guy who owns the place, he's a pretty all right guy. He's not a bad person. But I also know that his ex is an alcoholic. If she has an issue and wants to be angry or whatever, that could affect my ability to be here myself or have my things here. I know that with their legal issues, that could affect my ability to stay here, whether or not she's involved at this point or not, actually. Now, one thing I can say about that young woman, although she to this day has not listened to me, to this day, even though she said she would make some time, she hasn't taken the time to listen to me, why I feel the way that I do, or how the things that she did affected me. The last time I talked to her, she admitted to her alcoholism. She apologized to me for the way that she treated him. I told her, you don't need to apologize to me for that. You need to apologize to him. She said it was messed up that I said that she was stalking him, but then she also admitted to stalking him. You know, I mean, so you're mad at me for telling the truth. I get it. I do. I also understood that when he left you, that I was a point of contention because I mean that in your brain that's your man. You're in love with him, and you know that's the end all be all of everything. But women are allowed to be fucking actually psycho. A man isn't allowed to be frustrated after being targeted by a psycho, but a psycho is allowed to destroy a man's life and just walk away. That's what the Bollingers did. They did everything in their power to victimize me every step of the way and try to pretend like they were the victims. Who was it that raped Natalie? Now we've had lots of testimony up here. Out of all of it, how many times did Natalie say that I raped or molested her? Zero. The rhetoric that you guys are fucking selling as your excuse to harm me is bullshit. It is all bullshit. I told you Natalie was on fucking heroin, and she was on fucking heroin. Now, did Natalie ever talk about other people molesting or raping her? Yes, she absolutely did. Like her dad, Ted Bollinger, and like her ex boyfriend, Tim Beeson. But you guys, you got yourself a scapegoat. And anybody who hates your scapegoat is good in your book. A lot of people are pissed off at me for speaking out. I'm still enduring the abuse. Why wouldn't I speak out? Rebecca, I stood between you and a dude who wanted to fucking stab you to death. Why wouldn't I defend myself? Lucky, I stood between a police officer and your dog when that cop was going to murder your fucking dog. What makes you think I wasn't going to defend myself? Ryan, I was assaulted by 3 different men for standing up to them because they assaulted you. I stood up to all 3 of those men. And for over a year after that incident, I continued to protect you from those men. Just because you're gay doesn't mean you're not a human being. And it turned out Ryan was actually not gay. He was pretending to be gay because he thought it would get him a good girlfriend. How insane is that? See, it doesn't matter what the law says when police officers can turn off their body cameras. It doesn't matter what the law says on paper when it's the innocent who are being victimized. The laws are supposed to protect us, not harm us. The laws are supposed to protect us from predators, not put them up there in a fucking robe. White robe, black robe, doesn't matter what fucking color your goddamn robe is, you're still the goddamn bad guy. Does it bother any of the rest of you that every time Ted Bollinger does something fucked up, people threaten to kill me? Alicia Bollinger has gone missing 3 different times since Natalie died. All 3 times, people threatened to murder me and murder my family. But you know what? All 3 times, not only did I not have anything to do with her disappearing, I did everything in my power in all 3 of those scenarios to try to find her and get her safely back to, well, I should say her family, but that's not safe. Ted Bollinger is not safe. He's a fucking addict who fucks his own kids. Danica Garner is not safe. She's a drug addict who chose drugs and abuse over her own kids. Same thing with Rose. See, here's what you're not getting. Is that all of these people who promised to help me, who lied out their fucking asses, that's not my fault that they lied. It's not my fault that they didn't keep their word. It's not my fault that they stole from me or took advantage of me while I was in a desperate situation. That is not my fault. I do not make other people's decisions for them. And I understand that Most of y'all are going to say, oh, well, as a man, you should just man up. You should just man up. As a man, as a man. So, although you want to talk about equality, you don't actually want equality. You don't want to get treated like a man. You want access to those services. You want to be able to shake your boobs at a police officer to get out of a ticket. You want the perks of being a woman. The perks of being a woman are you get to control a situation through manipulation and pretend like it's not your fault. Nobody else in this country gets a free fucking ride like that unless they're a judge wearing a fucking badge or they're in charge of a bunch of people because they're rich bitches. Find one congressman that's worth less than $1 million. I'll wait. Na 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 na. Now I did plan on making a couple of phone calls this morning while I had this thing open. I'm gonna do the same thing that I've been doing most of the night. I'm gonna lay down and hope I'm exhausted enough to pass out. Chances are pretty good that I'm gonna think about the people that I miss. And as soon as I think about the people I miss, I'm gonna remember the fucked up shit that they did to me. And then I'll be busy thinking about blowing my head off instead of sleeping. That's my routine. Try to get help. Get denied that help. Get shat on. Start again in the morning. Yes, Sean. I know that you're disabled, but I want your help this weekend. So I'm going to selectively forget your disabilities. And then I'm going to pressure you to do something that hurts you and try to get a pity party going. Hey, I did this and I did that. Well, thank you for doing those things. You didn't help me the way I asked or the way that I needed, but okay, thank you for the sandwich. I didn't ask for you to spend $12 down at the bar to get me bar food. If I did, I offered you the money to pay for it and you didn't take it. And I would rather you took it because I don't want you throwing it in my face later that you bought me a fucking meal. If I've spent 11 hours with you working, sure, that is not a lot of fucking work for most of y'all. For me, 5 years ago, that wouldn't have been shit. Today, that's more than I can handle. That is more than I can manage. And I got to try not to have a fucking meltdown in the middle of it. Fucking A. On the bright side, I got Nerf rifles. So I guess if I'm attacked by a giant bubble monster, I can pop it with a sponge. I fucking itch everywhere. Probably a good day for a shower.